Welcome to an exclusive first drive of that car. This is the all-new Hyundai Ioniq 6N, and it's a quite an important car for the company because it's supposed to be the next step in their high-performance electric car lineup, not just a copy of that car in the sedan clothing. Of course, that's the existing, the current Ioniq 5N, and this is slightly camouflaged Ioniq 6N. They redesigned the suspension, they changed the wheelbase based on the standard car, and it's supposed to be quite good with all the latest software and also the swan's neck rear wing spoiler. So come with me for a test drive. This is South Korea, Hyundai Research and Development Center. This is pretty special. They don't let many people in here. So let's go for a drive and see what this car is truly capable of. The Ioniq 6N has the same powertrain as you can find inside the 5N crossover. That means up to 641 horsepower with N-Green boost mode and 568 pound-feet of torque from two motors and all-wheel drive. So the first test, I'm here on what I would call a black lake, so just basically lots of tarmac, and Hyundai set up a few obstacles. There's a slalom course, there's an acceleration braking area, and there's also kind of object avoidance or collision avoidance area. So I'm in N mode, and what I really like is that the gauge cluster changes and I have my temperatures from my front rear motor battery, so I can kind of monitor that. I also drive a lot of pickup trucks and high performance trucks, and it's really nice to know what's going on with your powertrain, so that's pretty nice. So let me accelerate and hit the slalom and see how it goes. I don't usually do this, but I think I'm getting a hang of it. A little bit of tire squeal. Now in N mode, which is a button on the left of the steering wheel, I can also show you a launch controls sequence. So my left foot goes on the brake, my right foot goes on the throttle, and then I'll just let go. But there's also a sound element to it, and Hyundai improved or changed the way that works on the Ioniq 6N. It's ready. There you go. So I think the engineering goal was to make this car approachable to people kind of like me. I don't go to race track days. I'm not a high performance driver, but I feel kind of comfortable just sitting down in this car and actually doing some pretty quick maneuvers. So let's check out the slalom one more time. And I think the whole point is that I don't want to touch the cones and kind of maintain high speed. So that was about 65 kilometers per hour there, and now I can do kind of this collision avoidance, and like 80 kilometers per hour would be one of the highest speeds. So let me see, I can go about like 70 and do, I don't think I touched anything. Success. I hate touching cones. It's also important for like off-road driving because those cones become rocks, and you don't want to touch rocks because that would be the end of your day. So my confidence is building. That could be dangerous, right? There we go. We could hear the tires a little bit. So Hyundai, for this Ioniq 6N, they also changed the E-Shift, which is basically simulated RPM, virtual RPM with a virtual transmission basically. And what they did was they are now allowing it to shift sooner. So basically before 100 kilometers per hour, it should shift twice, and 3 times before 120. So just giving you a little bit more access to that feeling of shifting gears. So let me see how this works. The sound is also pretty cool. And there's also a new feature, by the way. I think by braking, fast braking, right, initiates the blinkers.
Yes, that's why.
Just a little safety thing, right?
Yes.
And also regulation, right? Different countries, have some similar regulations, some don't. Let me stay in this mode. So now it's holding the second gear for me. And there's also now shift light as well. So the shift light is also using ambient lighting. So not only on the gauge cluster, but also it will flash red when the vehicle wants you to shift using the pedals in the dashboard, and even coming into like this door area. So you know exactly when. And the powertrain here is basically very similar to the Ioniq 6N, which means up to 640 horsepower. And the batteries should be also very, very similar, which means 84 kilowatt hours. And the range could be similar, but once again, we don't have ratings, especially for the United States versions. We don't know how that's gonna play out. But the Ioniq 5N crossover SUV currently is rated by the EPA for 221 miles of range. So it's not supposed to be a very high long driving vehicle, but it's supposed to be a fun car. So one of the big promises that Hyundai team made was that this is supposed to be a track capable car, which means you could drive it every day, but you could also take it to the racetrack on the weekend or whenever you have some free time. And without modifications, just out of the box, you can actually have some fun at the track and improve your skills. So this is what I'm trying to do now. I'm not a racetrack driver, but I'm learning this track right now in sport mode. And this test track here at the Proving Grounds is a little bit challenging because there's a lot of elevation change too. It's not just corners. But so far, including also the sound feedback I'm getting, so the simulated sound, I think it's helping me a little bit because it's not just the tire noise, I'm also getting some powertrain feedback, kind of, so I feel actually kind of at home a little bit more. And I'm learning there's very late apex turn and up the hill. This is using the new semi-active dampers with a collaboration with ZF. And basically there's height sensors, there is throttle position sensor, brake position sensor, 3D motion sensors. So it's all combines for allowing you to have a lot of mechanical grip. Basically the weight transfer, also as you go down the hill, up the hill, and just helping you become comfortable and confident. And with that should come some speed. You should be able to, even as I'm talking to you, which is difficult to do for me, I'm talking to you and also driving at the racetrack. So hopefully with confidence comes speed. But it really makes me feel like I can start to really learn the track and also change the precision of each corner and just learning. So yeah, I think they did that. So I just finished my racetrack session and you could hear maybe the fan is blowing. Let me get to it. You could see the radiator, you could see the front radar here in the lower grille. It's not very huge. It is warming up, but it's doing its job to cool it off. And here you can kind of see the camouflaged front end. Still quite aerodynamic, even with the wider stance. So each side is about 30 millimeters wider than a standard Ioniq 6. And the longer front wheelbase, they've moved the front axle forward by about 15 millimeters this way. So the front overhang is a little shorter, and with the aggressive bodywork, it did affect the coefficient of drag. So it's a bit worse than the standard Ioniq 6, but nonetheless, it's still pretty slippery. They told me it was 0.27 coefficient of drag with the Ioniq 6N bodywork. And then this rear wing, this swan neck mount wing, by the way, it's removable, and they'll be selling several other versions of this wing. So you could, or at least one other version, so you could change it up for different downforce. It's supposed to provide about 100 kilograms, about 220 pounds of downforce at 250 kilometers per hour, or about 150 miles an hour. So even with all that, it's still pretty slippery. So a couple of other questions you're probably wondering right now. How much does it cost, and when can I buy one? Well, we don't have that information quite yet. As you can see here, this is still in prototype stage. You will see actually the fully unveiled car shortly, in just a few days, in about a week. And then we'll have to wait and see when it goes on sale in the US. I'm in South Korea right now, so more than halfway around the world. But here's what I do know, is that the regular Ioniq 6 is about $5,000 cheaper base price than the base price of Ioniq 5 crossover SUV. And the Ioniq 5N starts at around $66,000 in the US right now. So depending on a lot of things, of course, component costs, tariffs, etc., where it's built, and many more factors, this could be several thousand still less than the Ioniq 5N. So if they make the price at $59,995-ish, I think this becomes a very attractive proposition if you do want that high-performance electric sedan feeling, which is, I think, world-class. I mean, I'm not a super expert on every electric high-performance sedan, but from what I can see right here, it's very approachable, very easy to drive, even at higher speeds and closer to the limit. So I think if they can make that price a bit more affordable, and let me know what you think. I mean, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time at alltfl.com. Thank you as always.